Hi guys, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up about the brand new Series 5 card that has been released into the game, Jean Grey, that she appears to be a bit bugged on release, which is something that has happened before with a number of new cards, like Living Tribunal and others. And like most people haven't played with her yet because most people are waiting for the new Spotlight cache system to go live. And from the data mines that we have, Jean Grey is going to be included in the first week of the Spotlight cache system. But she is also like already in the store for 6,000 collector tokens. There are some people out there who have already bought her. Because in that case, you know, maybe they want the Art Germ variant that they'll get from the Spotlight caches in that case. So even though we're all still waiting for the Spotlight caches, there are people out there who have playtested her and discovered that she comes with quite a few bugs so far. The most notable one, that is that she does not interact with Enchantress. If you play Jean Grey and your opponent plays Enchantress to remove Jean Grey's effect, nothing happens. And this is a confirmed bug. So that the devs have already talked about the Enchantress bug, and so this is a confirmed bug. This is something they know about, and that's going to be hotfixed. But there are a couple of other bugs with her that have been reported that the devs have not said anything about yet that are a bit more concerning. One report I've seen has said that someone actually had SAURON and Jean Grey, so he played SAURON first, which should deactivate Jean Grey's effect, but once he played Jean Grey, that effect was still active. So that's like another weirdness about her ongoing effect. SAURON should interact with ongoing cards, and Enchantress should interact with ongoing cards, and yet they do not interact with Jean Grey. So that's maybe that'll also be fixed when the Enchantress bug is fixed. But the big one, the real big one, is GOOSE. And it's unclear at this point if this is a bug or if this is intended. And people were discussing this before the card came out as well. Jean Grey states on her card text that you have to play the first card each turn here, if possible. Now, people have speculated what if possible means. And one interpretation would be that, like, if the lane is full, you can't play any cards there, then the effect is deactivated. Or maybe like if you play her on Morag or something, where it's not possible to play the first card there, like those two cancel each other out, then the effect is deactivated. And this might also be the whole reason for the bug with Enchantress and SAURON, that this card is coded differently from other ongoing cards, because it's an ability that can deactivate itself if certain conditions are met. But then there's GOOSE. GOOSE says that you can't play any high-cost cards in this location. So what people have been doing is that they play GOOSE in a lane, and then they play Jean Grey in a lane, and then if your opponent only has high-cost cards in their hand, then they can't play any cards at all. Because they have to play the first card each turn in the Jean Grey lane, but because GOOSE is there, they can't play any cards there. Now, people had been speculating in advance that surely, this is also one of those conditions that should deactivate Jean Grey's effect, isn't it? Jean Grey's effect says, if possible. You have to play your first card here, if possible. But if it's not possible for you to play your first card each turn here, then the effect should turn off. And that's what happens when GOOSE is there. It's not possible for you to play any cards there if you only have high-cost cards in your hand. And yet that does not turn off the effect, and that just renders you unable to play any cards at all, and you basically auto-lose the match. And I kinda think that this can't be an intended interaction. That it doesn't feel intuitive when the card says, if possible. Another one is like if you play her in the location that turns off card text, she appears to still be working, and her ongoing effect is still working even though she's in that lane. And I think that was something that happened with Luke Cage as well, where Luke Cage's ongoing effect also persists even if you place him in that lane. So there's a bit of the same weirdness going on there. She also has some of the same issues that Living Tribunal have, for example. If you play her on Lemuria, even though she's not revealed, the effect is active, which is kind of like how Living Tribunal works if you place him behind Invisible Woman, where the effect still goes off even though he hasn't been revealed yet. Jean Grey still works if she's turned into a symbiote from Clintar. Jean Grey still works if she's turned into a pig from Spider-Ham. Apparently, Jean Grey still works if she's turned into the Hulk from Gamma Lab. So, like, the card is just suffering from a whole host of bugs right now. Not game-breaking bugs like Kitty Pryde, so that they actually had to take her out of the game, and then they gave everyone a free Kitty Pryde. I don't see that happening here with Jean Grey. The biggest issue is Goose, of course, where like, it feels bad to play against someone who just plays a combination of 2 cards, and if the stars align and you only have high-cost cards in your hand, then you just lost the game. You can't play any cards. It feels unintended, it feels like it's a bug, it feels like that shouldn't be how the card works, but it also feels like if it is something they hadn't thought about, just fixing that code to make her effect shut off if your opponent only has high cost cards in their hands. I don't know if that's hard or easy to do from a developer standpoint, but it feels off. It feels off and it feels bad. So it's a bit of a buyer beware situation right now, whereas like if you're considering purchasing her for tokens, or just, you know, opening up all of your spotlight caches this week because you wanted the Jean Grey and you want to play around with her, it's worth noting that right now this card seems to be pretty bugged, and if that is concerning to you, then maybe hold off on getting her until these bugs are fixed, or until we get some clarity regarding like how this card is actually supposed to work. So that's the quick PSA, people. Thank you for listening as always. I will see you again some other time for something completely different.